Yo, what's going on, y'all? Shout out to the LDBC. It's your boy Fight Critic here to give you guys another video. It's been a relatively long week and just everything. Of course, if you're not from the United States, we essentially just wrapped up our election. I'm gonna make a video talking about that. But I did want to get into a lot more relevant news, especially when it comes to boxing. I didn't get a chance to give you guys my thoughts and my review from the Gervonta Davis Leo Santa Cruz fight that took place last week. Um, this fight was a lot better than what it looked like on paper. I know when you think about the idea of Leo Santa Cruz, a guy who once used to fight at 122 pounds, now moving up. I believe they just fought at 130. Was it? Let me just make sure real quick. Santa Cruz Davis. All right, let's take a look. Santa Cruz Davis. Santa Cruz Davis. Uh, hmm, see. No, they fought at 135. Well, so they just fought at 135 pounds. So essentially, I think just like with most people who expected going into this fight, many people expected Gervonta Davis to do what he did. Um, you're talking about a guy who is much bigger, much stronger, much faster, has less wear and tear on his body, fighting against a guy who's a multiple division champion, but you're talking about Leo Santa Cruz stepping up to essentially a division that he shouldn't really be in. He's not a big puncher. He's not a knockout type of guy who can get away with fighting in a bigger division as opposed to him being in a smaller division. I mean, I thought Leo Santa was just pushing 130. Well, I should say, yeah, 130 is just going to be a lot. For him to push to 135, it just didn't make sense. For Gervonta Davis, it made a ton of sense because the guy just can't make weight. He just struggled to make weight at 130 pounds. So it made a ton of sense for Gervonta Davis to move up to 135. And for most of that fight, it was very entertaining. Leo Santa Cruz, not to say that he was, you know, fighting a perfect style fight, but he made things really difficult for Gervonta Davis just from him and his punch output. I don't think Davis had ever fought anybody besides like a Jose Pedraza that really had that much of a punch output. So when you put Gervonta Davis in like that type of situation, he knows he's the bigger, stronger man, and he knows that he can do whatever he wants at any point in time. But he looked frustrated, at least for the first 3 rounds. He was frustrated. For Leo Santa Cruz, he was really just trying to avoid the power punch and to throw volume punches, even if it didn't bother Davis or hurt Davis. He wanted it from Leo Santa Cruz's perspective. He wanted to score as opposed to try to get the stoppage, which makes a ton of sense when you're a guy moving up to a division that you really have no business being in. And for Gervonta Davis, he went from, thinking that this was going to be like an easy fight, which is mirrored the last couple of his fights, to really actually just being annoyed and, being agitated by Leo Santa Cruz. Not to say that I felt that at any point in time of the fight that I thought he was losing, but he was winning, but he wasn't winning clearly in the first 3 rounds. And I think it was in round 4 that just something switched on to Gervonta Davis, where he's just like, trying to be this counter puncher and try to walk down this guy is not going to do much for me. It's just going to keep being in these spots where I'm gonna have to outwork him, and as the fight goes on, I really should be getting this guy out of here. And then you started to see Gervonta Davis get out of the counter punching Philly shell, uh, offensive um, perspective, and he started to just go right into a high guard and started to throw body shots at Leo Santa Cruz. And that's usually the smart thing to do when you are a counterpuncher and you realize that counterpunching is not going to work. You have to like suddenly like shift your ability to change the game plan and to then put more focus into how you're going to fight for the remainder of the fight. And then it ended up producing something that should have happened. And I'm happy that it happened that it did, because I think I was talking to a lot of the brothers and I was saying, if Davis doesn't get him out of here in 6 rounds, then this is not a good fight for him. in terms of he'll still win, but you should have never let this fight go this far along, is how I felt about it. So when he got the knockout and the way that he got the knockout, I was just like, it's about fucking time. Just like looking at it, he managed to hit Leo Santa Cruz with some hard body shots in rounds 4 and 5, and even in round 6, you could tell that Leo Santa Cruz was just slowing down, like he didn't have enough gas, to make it, and you could just tell by the way his legs was moving. I think there was one body shot that to me was the body shot that turned it around for Davis, and that started to create a large amount of separation between the two guys in the ring. He hit him with a body shot, and I think the ref broke it up because the ref said that Davis hit him low, but I didn't think he hit him low. I think he hit him right on the belt. But that body shot it hurt Santa Cruz so much that I think he tried to play it off as if he got hit low. But I think like right around the time that Leo Santa Cruz he adjusts his trunks, I see him shaking his leg. It's ever so slight, but if you're ever somebody who's ever you've sat in, a specific area for a specific period of time, or if you've been hit somewhere, and you feel immobilized, it's almost just feels like you have no blood rushing to a part of your body, and you got to shake yourself to kind of get some movement back in. And that looked like one of those types of body shots that forced Leo Santa Cruz to adjust his trunks. And I could see him vividly shaking his left leg as if he was hurt, and he briefly lost, his left leg just went gone. And then after that point, Gervonta Davis, I think he saw that, and he saw his moment to keep pressing. And he kept pressing, he kept pressing, he kept pressing. And then it led to him throwing a vicious uppercut that just I thought Leo Santa Cruz was gone there for a minute. Just going to be honest with you. But that uppercut was just so lethal. It's probably one of those punches that is probably going to go down in modern boxing history in terms of a knockout punch. But the fact that he's able to hit Leo Santa Cruz that clean in the exchange caught Leo Santa Cruz trying to come in on an uppercut himself, and he was just faster, quicker, and stronger to the target. And Leo Santa Cruz was done. It didn't make any sense for them to even try to give him a count. So I thought the fight was very entertaining, a lot more entertaining than what I felt that it should have been. I can't sit there and say that this was probably, I think more people are going to look at it and say that this was a spectacular win for Davis because of the knockout and not looking at, the other parts of the fight leading up to it. I think around the time that I was watching the fight, I think my scorecard was something like 3-2 to Davis. And I think one of the close round, I think there was one close round that I gave to Leo Santa Cruz. So you could say it was like 4-1 if you wanted. But when he produced the knockout, I was just like, well, that answers a lot of my prayers. So now you talk about what happens next. For Gervonta Davis, I personally don't feel like he has any more business left at lightweight. He should honestly just move back down a weight class, fight at 130. There's a lot of really good guys at 130 that you could fight. Fighting at 135, I believe, is a little bit out of his depth and his element. But I do like the idea of Davis fighting Lomachenko now. I think that watching this type of fight and watching Davis have to deal with a volume-sized puncher who's not as quite big as him, and trying to figure out a formula that beats that guy, and him figuring it out, and the level of body punching that Davis has been able to pull off. I think that I've always said that Tank versus Loma is a great fight to be made, and I've never understood why Tank and his team didn't want to take that fight. That's a fight that is very winnable for Gervonta Davis. I've been saying that for 4 years. Well, not 4 years. That's a little bit much for me to be exaggerating, but I've been saying it for I want to say 2 to 2.5 years. I've been saying that Davis can make a very competitive fight against Lomachenko. Even back when Lomachenko was at 130, I felt that it was a really good fight to be made. But Davis, his energy just felt different when you brought up Lomachenko. We can't avoid that. He'll talk about other guys. He'll talk about guys not even in his weight class, but he brought up Lomachenko, and then a lot of guys got conservative when it came to the voice. The only guy that was really up there calling out Lomachenko, other than Guillermo Rigondeaux, was Teofimo Lopez, and Lopez got his opportunity. He took the opportunity that many people might now in hindsight feel like that should have been Gervonta Davis's opportunity. But with Davis in the division now, I don't think he has any business fighting anybody else in that division. I think him fighting Devin Haney would be an interesting fight, but I favor Haney just based off of, Haney has the size in order to make that fight really difficult for Gervonta Davis. As well as when it comes to the reach, he can make that hard. And I don't think Davis is faster at 135 than Devin Haney is at 135. And of course, when you talk about the number one guy in the division, Teofimo Lopez, I don't think Davis is going to last 8 rounds against Teofimo Lopez. I just don't think that Davis has the ability to be as mobile, be as accurate, and to keep up with the level of pace that Teofimo Lopez is going to fight at. Teofimo Lopez is a full-fledged lightweight, and I know a lot of people like to use full-fledged in, boxing, but what I mean by full-fledged lightweight is Teofimo Lopez is the kind of guy at this current weight class that it doesn't matter what kind of punch he lands on you, each punch you're gonna feel them. And when you're a guy moving up in weight and you try to fight that way, you're not going to have much success. But when you're a guy who either is a natural for that division or you are bigger for that division in terms of size, you're gonna easily be able to rack up points. You're easily going to be able to rack up knockouts, and you're going to hurt your opponent as long as you're a guy who is fundamentally sound. And that's what Teofimo Lopez is. You saw what he did to Vasily Lomachenko. So I think he definitely would beat Gervonta Davis, probably stop him, within 8 rounds. But for Gervonta Davis, I think he should move back down to 130. I think that he can get a lot of fights at 130. And if he finds the right opportunity to fight once again at 135, then so be it. But even if he goes back to 135, that should be his ceiling. I don't think he should move up to 140. When you start to get to 140s, when you start to fight guys who are 5'11", anywhere from 5'9" to 5'11", these guys happen to have like anywhere from like a 68 to a 73-inch reach. These are guys who can make welterweight, but they drain themselves a little bit to make junior lightweight. Well, not junior lightweight. To make junior welterweight. And a lot of those guys are really strong knockout punchers. They can really, really make life difficult for a smaller guy moving up in weight. So I don't foresee Davis leapfrogging 135 and going to 140. I think it would be suicide for him. But I think if he can find the right fight at 135, it doesn't, I don't mind him moving back up in the division. I just feel like he has a lot better options at 130. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. I got another video. I'm going to be talking about Canelo Alvarez. And then, of course, I'm going to be talking about the election. So stay tuned to these videos. I'm going to make sure I get them out, just about all of them today so I can enjoy the rest of my day here and do a little bit of celebrating. So, all right, y'all.